What's up, guys? My name is Anthony Wallace, and you're watching Nara Makes Games, where you can see me learn how to make video games for the first time. And I'm on my way to somewhere cool. So I wanted to talk about inspiration today, and without a doubt, one of my biggest inspirations is Nintendo. So I thought, what better place to talk about Nintendo than here at the Nintendo headquarters in Kyoto, Japan. As you can see, there's not a lot going on the outside, but you just gotta imagine all the fun stuff going on inside that building and all of the really cool games that have been made here. I grew up on Nintendo, and Nintendo is the reason why I love video games, and it's also the reason why I want to make video games. I still remember getting my very first Nintendo system when I was 4 years old for Christmas. And those games from the Nintendo and the Gameboy systems serve as perfect examples of what I would like to do with my own games. To help me share one of my biggest inspirations, I've invited my friend Laura to join me to discuss our love of the Nintendo Game Boy.
Alright, so I guess we're ready to go.
Yep.
So we have Laura here.
Hi guys.
And so we met 2 years ago when you were still living in Los Angeles.
I can't believe it's already been 2 years. It doesn't feel like
Yeah, and I was already a nomad at that point. So I was in Los Angeles for work, and we did a photo shoot. And I found out that you're into games. So when I started this whole journey of making games, I'm like, oh, let me reach out and see if she'd be interested in doing something. And one of the first things you said was, oh, I'd like to talk about Game Boy. And I'm like, what are the chances of that? I'm working on something on Game Boy right now.
It was too perfect. Like, I was like, oh, hopefully he'll be into this. And you're like, wait, that's literally what I'm doing. So it just
That's like all I think about lately is Game Boy, yeah. You actually mentioned a game to me that you liked. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so my first game that I could talk all day about is the 1994 Donkey Kong Country. When I talk about Game Boy games, it honestly feels like a fever dream because I would play them all day, every day. Donkey Kong, I can say with full confidence, was the first game I actually was able to play through. So I have a really deep soft spot for it.
Yeah, I played Donkey Kong Country 2 on Super Nintendo. And it's the same thing. It's like when you think of yourself playing those games, it's like, it doesn't even seem real. It just seems like a dream.
Yeah, I don't know, because I still struggle playing through it. I just beat it yesterday. I decided to play through the whole thing again. And I was like, how the hell did tiny little me understand how this game works and the timing and everything?
I know. I feel so bad because I play these games and I have to look up what to do all the time.
Cough, Zelda, cough.
We might get into that soon. But the first game I wanted to talk about is Kirby's Dreamland.
Oh, Kirby?
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Because I had Kirby on Game Boy, and that's the Kirby that I remember.
Yeah, definitely.
The Game Boy version is actually Kirby's first appearance. The lead director was 19 years old when he came up with the idea for Kirby, and Kirby as a character was actually a placeholder. And then they ended up falling in love with that as a character.
How could you not? That's insane. I never knew that.
And his original name was Po.
Stop. I love that for him. Oh my god.
So then they put out the NES version, and it was, a much better version of Kirby, and he had more powers and stuff. But I thought it was cool that it was one of those games that was made for Game Boy first.
Yeah, that 19-year-old kid, that's insane to think about. He didn't know at the time how big it would be. Insane.
Yeah, and he was the one who actually went on to make Super Smash Brothers too.
No, wow, an icon. Okay, this is really dumb, and I promised you that you wouldn't have chosen this game. It's actually a series of 2 games, but my origin in loving games that are just simple slice of life little type of genres is Game Boy Dogs with a Z, and then there was a sequel to it called Dogs Fashion. But yes, let me tell you, okay, so these, it sounds silly, But I love Japan, obsessed with Japan, plan to go there for a couple years in the future once I'm done with college. But this game was like truly my introduction to Japanese culture. I was learning about Japanese food for the first time, or like how the cities looked and Japanese music and just little bits and like touches of the culture. So it's special, and I'll never forget that game. I played through it so many times, like every day, all day. But yeah, it's a little like shout out if you know what I'm talking about, but if not, look it up and look at the graphics. It's super cute, and I think it was ahead of its time because it's pretty similar to like the gameplay of Animal Crossing. It's very cute.
Yeah, that's definitely a different one. That's not one that I would have guessed.
No.
I was actually wondering if we would have picked one of the same ones because we didn't tell each other. You know, I knew your first one because you had mentioned that in the very beginning, but I was like, she might pick one of the ones I picked, but man, dogs.
I thought outside of the box for that purpose. I was like, all right, what is he not going to choose?
Well, my last pick, I guess, is a lot more serious. So I went with Zelda Link's Awakening.
Oh, the classic.
I grew up playing A Link to the Past on Super Nintendo. And that, up until a couple years ago, was my favorite Zelda game. And now Breath of the Wild beat that one out. And so this game came after that one. And basically what happened with this game was you had all these junior designers who were allowed to work on a Zelda game without the original director. So they wanted to try a lot of new ideas. It basically became like this love letter to Nintendo because there's all these cameos from other characters. You know, Luigi makes an appearance, Kirby makes an appearance in this game. And it's also a very long game for a Game Boy game. I think I probably played for 20 hours.
Wow, that's, for Game Boy, that's insane.
There's so many things that if you've played Zelda games before, there's certain rules that you have to follow in a Zelda game. And a lot of those rules just don't apply in this game. And so, you know, it felt like a true Zelda game. I don't know. It's a really special game.
Wow. I need to refresh my mind and look into it because that sounds like really sweet. Like it just makes my heart happy knowing all of that. Did you replay it on the Switch?
No, I played the original. I like the old Game Boy games. I like when you play the black and white games on the Game Boy Color and it gets the weird color treatment that it just kind of automatically throws on it. But I have been so into Game Boy lately. That's kind of all I play right now. I have all these Switch games that I haven't even touched yet. I just love the look and the feel and the simplicity. And it just brings you back to, like you said, that fever dream of playing years ago. And that's what it's really about, is that nostalgia, I think.
Humans and nostalgia will never not fail. Or I meant to say the opposite of that. I don't even know how to put into words what I'm saying. It's
hard to put into words that special feeling that you get when you think about playing those old games and then, you know, even playing them now at our age, like we can build these new memories playing it. Like I have these new memories now of playing Link's Awakening in this room upstairs. And it's like, I'm going to remember that feeling for the rest of my life.
100%. You know? And being able to appreciate all of the game, like in your older age, you can think about what went into making the music and writing out exactly what would happen and the storyline and all the different people involved. Like, I had no clue how that worked when I was young and playing all these games for the first time. It's truly like an art form that not everyone understands and appreciates, I'd say.
And it's a unique art form that stands alone. You know, it's different than movies. It's different than music. And it's really special. And, you know, me trying to get into game design now, I like you were saying, like playing a game now is so different because you look at every little part and you're like, man, someone did that. So I'm starting, I'm going back to the roots, and that's why Game Boy has stood out so much to me lately, is because a game like that might be achievable for someone like me starting out. And I don't know how long that's going to take, but it doesn't matter how long it takes. It's something that I want to do now, and I'll eventually move on to more modern games. And but I'm just super inspired by that style and just the look of it too. And
100%.
So That's what I'm working on now. In this time when everything feels crazy and unsure, and it's just cool to be excited about something and to be getting into something fun.
Yeah. I think a lot of people I've talked to and what they're doing with all of this extra time or whatever it is so many people are reconnecting to like their childhoods and their deeper passions and what they as an individual truly enjoy and like what brings them happiness. That's the best that we can all do, and it's super cool to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think we just have to focus on what makes us happy and sort of find a way to leave some of the bad behind.
100%.
Cool. Well, I'm glad I could get you to talk to me about games. And
yeah, that was fun. I like that.
Yeah, we have this cool shared passion, and it'd be awesome to talk about more stuff in the future.
All right. Thank you.
I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye. Please let me make it to the end. I've never done that one try. Oh no. I'm sweating. Okay. Boom.
I wanted to talk about pixels. Most modern computer and television screens are made up of millions of pixels, and each pixel is capable of producing millions of colors. It is this combination of the amount of pixels and colors that gives us beautiful images on screen where our eyes should not be able to see the square pixels. Those pixels are definitely there, and in the world of video games, the artists and programmers are constantly at work to find ways to pack as much detail into a screen at one time, while conserving as much system memory as possible, because everything you see is extra loading time and processing power necessary to keep the game performing fast and smooth. In the early days of video game production, the artists were working with a much smaller number of available pixels, color, and memory. And these limitations are what led to a lot of the design choices in games that we know and love. That special look and feel of those games were defined by the technological limitations of that time. And while we're not as limited on today's computer systems, many game developers and graphic artists are still inspired by the pixel, and finding new and creative ways to make something beautiful in simplicity. And I would like to create a game that honors that era of gaming. My goal is to create a game inspired by the Nintendo Game Boy, and if it's possible, I would like for it to actually be playable on the Game Boy. Whether or not that's going to be practical, I don't know yet, but it makes sense to understand the limitations that ultimately led to an art style that I love, and were the foundation of gaming as we know it today. My first few attempts will be nowhere as beautiful and polished as some of these examples, but eventually my goal would be to create something even a fraction of what these artists have accomplished. So that journey begins now. Hey guys, before you go, please support the channel in the form of a subscription, like the video, leave a comment, or share with a friend. Your interaction turns into real exposure and opportunity for a content creator like me, so any support is greatly appreciated. Thanks for watching.